Hey, what's up everybody? This is KG from Draw7. Welcome to a brand new episode. After a long month of being hiatus, I am finally glad to be back on the podcast. I know some of you have been asking for me, where did he go? What did he do? I'm going to save that for another episode, just kind of give you a life update and whatnot. That'll be kind of an hour long, but I'm not going to waste your time here because in today's episode, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the top 10 players for the RGV and Pokemon TCG for the overall 23 and 24 season. As you know, the 23 and 24 season came to end at NIC at New Orleans in the month of June. Happened about 2 or 3 weeks ago, so I kind of figured it'd be a good time to kind of give my top 10 list for those players for the overall year. Now, I know we've had some players come and go, and we've had players that entered the game in the middle of the season or towards the later season. So I'm very excited because the next season, the community has grown and there's definitely more groups and more play groups and just pretty much more players overall in the RGV. So this list, I can tell you right now, it probably will change going into the next season, not because they're bad, right? But because there's just going to be new players out there. So I'm very curious how that's going to work out. But before we do that, I do want to give out some shout outs and to some honorable mentions because, of course, this list is considered a Masters only. And, you know, I do want to do a shout out to all the junior and senior divisions out there, to all the kiddos and the pretty much the middle-aged children, Joshua, that came out and supported all the shops and going to the league challenges and league clubs and did some traveling too. I know some of these guys, with their parents' support, of course, took him to regionals, took him to, I know, San Antonio, New Orleans, and to some of the cups in Corpus and whatnot. So shout out to you parents for supporting your kiddo playing Pokemon TCG and just supporting the kids what they do. So without further ado, let's give a shout out to our juniors and senior division. And I do have that list right here. I'm not in any order, just want to do a special shout out. So I want to congratulate Blair, Damien, Sean, Little Pete, Joshua, and Xavier. Okay, those 6 individuals with their parent support, I think it's awesome that they definitely showed up to play at league challenges and league cups all around when they could. And special shout out to Blair because I know Blair has moved on to another trading card game with Rick. I believe One Piece, but that's kind of the whole point. You know, Pokemon is just a card game that most players, including myself, we entered, and then you just kind of branch out. So it's kind of cool that Blair is kind of more into the One Piece scene. And of course, Rick, being a loving good father, supporting Blair, has moved on as well to One Piece. Will they come back to Pokemon? Who knows? It's always there, and that's the cool thing with Pokemon. It's just there whenever you want to come in and just kind of get a couple of games in. So I want to congratulate Blair, Damien, Lee, Sean, Little Pete, Joshua, and Xavier on a job well done this season. And thank you for supporting your shops, and thank your parents for allowing you to come play Pokemon TCG at these wonderful car shops, whether it be Stronghold, Moonblast, Kaboom, or, you know, out of the RGV regionals for Pokemon. So congratulations to you all. I wish you the best for next season if you continue, and if you do, can't wait to see what you do. And yeah, overall, just congrats on that. So moving on, let's kind of go over our top 10. And before I do the top 10, you know, no teaser here, I am going to do some honorable mentions. These people were considered to put in the list. And, you know, I had some help with this list. I was talking over with Billy pretty much, and I trust Billy's opinion. Well, everyone does. So I talked it over him, and we kind of just went over the list to make sure that I got this one right. There's going to be some controversial because and some opinions about it, but I will tell you this right now that this list is not the end-all be-all, because I say that because this is a overall season of the 23-24, and you know, there's some really good players out there right now that are up and coming and or joined the season in the middle or towards the end, so I can't wait to see what they do. So for example, I know some players like Tony, Benijo, and there's some other players that are coming in the scene, so we'll see what they do into next season. I know the Brownsville crew, when they went to 3v3, they took, you know, they kicked some butt, took some names, so I can't wait to see what the Brownsville scene does for next season overall. When congratulations to them for getting their league challenge, by the way, at Cascade Games. So with that being said, I'm going to mention some honorable mentions. They didn't make the list, but they were a consideration between Billy and I. And so yeah, so definitely want to congratulate Rick Villarreal. He didn't make the list, but some of his top cups with just unique decks, you know, especially that Chansey. I think that got a lot of hype at the Pocket, you know, and hey, he almost won with it, you know, lost to Emilio. So shout out to Rick for making honorable mention. Also, another honorable mention is I want to shout out to Jesus Gonzalez also for playing a unique deck at Kaboom and almost beating Leo. I mean Leo's not easy pickings to play against Leo in the final cut. So shout out for Jesus for being honorable mention from Brownsville representing Cascade, and good for him to show it up and almost taking the League Cup in Kabooms. Also shout out to Daniel Casas, special shout out to him because he made day 2 at NIC with Marina, I believe, and that's no easy task. I know Daniel kind of played, I'm sure he's been playing for quite a while, but as far as going to a tournament scene, you know, it's cool that he went to New Orleans and pretty much going into day 2 along with Leo pretty much. It's kind of cool that we see a handful of players from Brownsville up and rising, and that is why they're getting a league challenge and probably in the future a League Cup at Cascade Games. So congratulations for Daniel Casas being honorable mention. And of course, last but not least, I'm just going to go ahead and throw this dart to the heart. I'm going to give the honorable mention, the last one, to Ray Alanis. And I know Ray's probably disappointed in hearing that, but he got an honorable mention. I know he did well at Roots League Cup. He finally cracked the top cut, but just overall, you know, was very close, trust me. But he kind of just walked out with honorable mention. So I know he's going to be heartbroken, but hey, buddy, you know, you're a good guy, and I know next season you'll tear it up. So, you know, no hard feelings, but you were honorable mention, and hey, you're here. So, all right, guys. So with that being said, let's talk about our top 10. As always, I'm going to start from number 10 all the way to number 1. Pretty much the top 5, well, when Billy and I talked about it, top 5 was okay. We had to hack it out, and we based it off of just pretty much mostly points, but also where you grinded it out as far as playing the card game. So, you know, and it was interesting because if we could make a pie chart or a graphing chart organizer, like, you know, everyone kind of had their highs and lows. So I'll give you an example. You know, Cesad, for example, I won't say where he is yet, but like Cesad, you know, at the beginning of the season, like, you know, as far as locals, you know, he was kind of had a rough start, right? You know, and hills and valleys, you know, and then towards the end of the season, he just started kicking everyone's butt, you know. And don't get me wrong, like he had some highs at the beginning of the season, but he really drew hot and just like started like kicking butts from I guess winter on into the summer. So stuff like that. Everyone had their highs and lows, and that's just the beauty of the game, you know. So with that being said, let me not bore you anymore and give you the top 10. Let me give you the goods. So and the other half, you know, 6 through 10, pretty much it was just a matter of their commitment and where they placed and what place they got and were they consistent, pretty much. Okay, so we're gonna start with number 10. And number 10, we're going to give it to Mr. Victor Limon, aka Spider. Just kidding. That's the name I give it, but no, just Victor. So Victor does not have Facebook, I believe, but I know that his simps or his groupies and Robert Team Tots will let him know about this. But Victor did get number 10, and Billy and I talked about it. And yeah, I mean, the guy was consistent when he was, and he made top cut quite a few times, and that's not an easy task of the local scene because, you know, first of all, there's a handful of good players, and that's what I'm kind of proud of in the RGV is that back then, you know, like when San Antonio would come in or Corpus, it's like, oh boy, like they're going to take it. But now I can actually say that there's some RGV players that if they're there, like, hey, there's a chance that they can take it. So, and you know, it's no surprise that Victor was consistently topping back-to-back at Cups. So I know he jumped in the middle of the season, but we're looking forward to see what he does for next season because I know he's been grinding it out, playing at locals and just playing. I know he went to NIC as well. So we figure that getting the 10th spot for Victor for the overall season and is a good spot for him, and we'll see what he does next year. I will make a list for next season for the first quarter, and the way I make my list is pretty much, you know, first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. So the list will always change, you know, and I know some of you talk about it and whatnot, and I'm kind of thinking I appreciate that you all take considerate, and hey, if it makes you to be better for the RGV, then awesome, you know. So with that being said, Victor, number 10, congratulations to Victor. All right, so number 9, this one I'm kind of like, you know, I guess I'll give it to him because he's a personal friend of mine. But number 9, we decided to give it to Joel. Joel did go in NIC and he did grind it out with Guardy. No, not Guardy. Did he play Guardy? I don't remember. But he did went to NIC and and yeah, so we gave him the number 9 spot because at the early of the season he did grind it out a lot. Like he did go to San Antonio, and it's funny because when I was talking to Billy about it, Billy forgot that he got into the finals with Brian. Brian was playing Palkia, and Joel was playing Lost Tina Box without Manaphy, mind you. So, and I clearly remember that because me and Billy were just kind of waiting for him, and he made the top 2. He didn't win that cup, but so Joel does have some accolades for making top cut, top 4, top 2 in San Antonio. And let me tell you something, going to those cups in San Antonio or Houston, it's no easy task because there has a handful of good players up there. So I can't really deny that from Joel and take that away from him. So the number 9 spot goes for Joel for the overall season for 23-24. Next season, I don't know. I mean, pretty much, is he going to be asleep? Is he going to be awake? Nobody knows. So, it's just fascinating that the whole community just kind of adopted him being the Snorlax player, pretty much. Both card game and kind of just asleep, So, who knows? If you want to see him at the local scene, get a Pokeflute, find him, play it, see if he wakes up. But other than that, Joel gets the number 9 spot here. So, number 10, Victor. Number 9, Joel. Number 8, we're going to give that spot to Emilio. And Emilio has some accolades in the local scene. I know he hasn't really traveled as much, hasn't had the chance to, but Billy and I kind of just said, yeah, he's deserved it because he's won 1 or 2 cups and he's made top cut consistently. And that's kind of what he has over Joel and Victor. Joel, he hasn't won a cup yet. I don't think he's won one at all. I'm not too sure. You have to ask him. But Emilio, for somebody that's joined the card game and the card scene, he's won a cup already. So that's why I put him over Victor and Joel. And you're going to notice that the top, 6 through 10, 5 through 10, it's more based off just the local scene. And, if they make a day 2 at regionals, then yeah, we take that into consideration as well. So, yeah. So Emilio, we put him over Joel and Victor simply because, hey, he's won a cup before. And that says a lot. And yeah, so Emilio gets the number 8 spot. So congratulations to him. The number 7 spot is going to be Lucky 7 Ricardo, Rick, aka Majoros. Rick is the reason why we gave him the number 7 spot is because he's just super consistent as far as when he plays, he does well. And when I say that, he's always top cut, always a top cut for most of the tournaments, especially in League Cups. And League Challenges, he'll play against Billy and he'll either scoop to Billy or pretty much he'll play it out and win it, So he's just super consistent when he plays. And actually, you know what? I forgot to mention, shout out to him bringing his kiddos as well. I forgot to mention that. That's just so, how disrespectful of me for not mentioning that when it's pre-releases or locals, he brings his 2 sons. So I forgot to mention that. So Rick, I apologize, but shout out to your 2 boys. For bringing them out there, and we appreciate it as well. So yay, more power for the junior and senior division. So with that being said, yeah, we give Rick the number 7 spot because he's just super consistent. I know he loves his Lost Box, and congratulations for Rick for the number 7 spot. Number 6 spot, we gave it to, drumroll please, and I'm sure he's gonna be happy, Mr. Firefighter himself, Brian Benavides. Yes, Brian has deserved to get the number 6 spot. Brian, I know he's been in and out doing the firefighter thing. I think he's done now, I believe. But, when he plays, he's not an easy player to beat. And he's very consistent. He's won a couple of cups. He's made top cut. And even from day 1 in the fall, he's been committed to the game. I know in the middle of the season, he's kind of been doing the firefighter thing. Just for a little bit, actually, a month or so. But he's come back and looks like he's grinding out again. And hopefully next season we'll see he does. But, Brian gets that spot because, as far as the local scene, he's done really, really well consistently. And that's what he has over the rest. Okay. So with that being said, Mr. Firefighter himself, we salute you, sir. Thank you so much. Brian, the number 6 spot. The number 5 spot, we're going to go ahead and give that to me, which is Kevin. So I get the number 5 spot because pretty much, I haven't made it day 2 yet this season. But I have gotten points, I guess, at regionals, and I won a League Cup before. and league challenges and whatnot. So pretty much what I'm saying is, like, if Brian just went to a regional and like he made day 2, then yeah, like I would be number 6, easily, hands down, and Brian will move up. But with that being said, Brian can probably make day 2 next year if he goes to San Antonio or to a regional. So basically, I put me at the same level as Brian, but only because I edge him. It's simply because I just travel a little bit more, and again, it's just a money thing. And Brian probably could travel. Will he travel? I mean, that's up to him. But so there's no really big difference there as far as that. Of course, I respect Brian and every other player below me. But yeah, so I decided to give myself the number 5 spot. Billy agreed, so I have his blessing, of course. And so yeah, number 5 goes to Kevin. Number 4, and again, I think 4, 3, and 2 is going to spark a lot of controversy. And trust me, the number 2 and number 3, we literally spent, Billy and I, we probably spent a good 30 minutes at Chili's, just like, okay, and we went back and forth. So trust me, we really put some thought into it. And I have Billy's blessing on this too, so you can't really say oh, well, so we really put some time into this. All 30 minutes, right? For the number 2 or 3. So the number 4 spot, we decided to give it to Mr. Dylan. And I know a lot of people are like, okay, yeah, he's been traveling and been working and all that. But the thing is that in the local scene, I know Dylan has either not been available because he's been working, or when he has played because, he hasn't done that well. But with that being said, he does have that day 2 and regionals, NIC, it's a pretty big deal because it's 2 out of 3 and you'll go against everybody. So yeah, so with that being said, we felt that number 4 spot would go to Dylan, not only for his playing ability, but again, because he made it day 2, local wise, not quite there yet, but simply because he's been working pretty much, or traveling for Mother Russia, as I call it, but not really, so, but if he was more available if he was able to play more locally, then me and Billy are confident that he would have those top cuts, so pretty much what I'm trying to say is I'm going to give Dylan the benefit of the doubt, because I'm pretty confident that if he had the opportunity to stay, or if he had the chance to, I think he would make top cut most of the time if he could. And I know the few times, again, it's a small sample size, but simply because at San Antonio he made day 2, it's a pretty big deal. That is why we give the number 4 spot. So hopefully Dylan has more time to travel more next season. Who knows? Maybe he'll do VGC now, right? But yeah. So I'm confident in giving the number 4 spot to Dylan. And again, some people will probably agree, some will disagree, but Billy and I just kind of figured that it goes to Dylan, because even if he could stay because of work, I think he would make top cut. Seriously. And I believe he's made top cut before in League Cup. I'm not either at Roots. I'm not quite sure. So no, because he's ran tournament. So, but Dylan can tell us later on. It's been so long, but for sure he has day 2 at San Antonio, and that does play a big role. Okay. So without further ado, number 4 goes to Mr. Dylan. Okay. All right. So this one, I'm laughing because the number 2 and the number 3 spot, it's it was tough. Okay. We look at it locally, and we looked at it regional wise, the big picture, and yeah, Billy and I went back and forth. And at first it was well, it's no surprise, I'm sure you all figured it out that, the last 3, and you can figure out, but the last 3, it's Billy, Cesar, and Leo. And I think this is where it's going to cause a lot of controversy, especially the number 2, number 3. So first of all, I'll talk to all 3 of them combined. So when Billy and I talked about all 3, it did kind of change, with the number 1. And then I told Billy, well, let's look at it. So we looked at the points, we looked at where they played, including Billy and whatnot. So if you look at it from a point of view, Billy has the most points, but simply because he just had the chance to grind it out more. I mean, he went to UIC, he went to a lot more ICs and regionals than the other two, Cesar and Leo. But the thing is that when Cesar and especially Leo, when they played, especially locally, like, it's pretty impressive what they did, like both of them. And they both represent the pockets. So it's, there was some flip-flopping between the 1, 2, and 3. And then we kind of settled on 1. And then, like, okay, we cement that. And then 2 and 3, we're just back and forth. So with that being said, the number 3, and again, number 2 and number 3, like, no difference. The number 2 just slightly edged number 3. But number 3, we had to, we gave it to Cesar. Okay. Now, Cesar, from a regional point of view, has done better than Leo. Okay. And simply put, Leo, no offense to him, he's a great player, and I know him personally, great guy. It's just that when Leo made day 2 at NIC, like, it made it so complicated, and that's okay, because let's just have that conversation, right? But so if you're looking at it from a local point of view, and you all can decide, let me know in the comments or in the chats or whatnot, like, have that barbershop talk, right? Like LeBron or Kobe. But between Cesar and Leo, locally, Leo, and this is what I was telling Billy, like, Leo kicked everyone's ass. Like, he took, like, I think 5 cups, maybe 6, and he disappeared because he didn't need to go anymore. So because of that, like, towards the later half of the season, that doesn't mean that Cesar needed that. Cesar could probably won on his own. In fact, I know Cesar and Leo can remind me this, but so like at the earlier the season, I know Cesar and Leo played against each other at, I think, the second cup at the Pocket. I know I didn't make that, but from what I understand is that I think Leo took that. And I think Cesar just like, okay, well, I think they just agreed. I think they had a gentleman's agreement. I'm not quite sure. They were just like, well, to some extent, I don't know, but I do know that that I guess they had a match, but they already had kind of decided, and what would have been, right? Like, let's say Cesar said, I'm really gonna play it out. But anyways, so I know there was that. But I know Leo took a lot of the cups locally, and then he disappeared because he didn't need to do that. And I know he went to San Antonio. And San Antonio, Cesar made day 2. Leo did it. I know and I know Leo's not happy to hear this because I know it wasn't his best performance, and he knows that. But but again, he got motivated, and then when he went to NIC, like, he made day 2, and that's a big deal because ICs are over regionals. And that's why it was so tough. If Leo honestly didn't make day 2 at NIC, then this discussion would be over because, okay, Cesar edges him. But again, you can say, well, yeah, but Leo, when he played, and when he could play, he destroyed everybody. He won I think he won 5 or 6 cups, 5 cups, and then and from the point of view, I know when you cap on league challenges and cups, I believe it's 390. Maybe 400 points, 390. And Leo was he was 20, 30, he was 38 points away from capping that. And then he got 80 points from NIC. So he shot up to 441. By the way, ICs give a lot of points. They're international championships, which is pretty much Europe, North American, Latin American, so they give a lot more points. Even if you make 256, even if you don't make day 2, you still get points. Regionals a little bit more tougher. You have to go 5-3 or whatnot, right, to get points. So yeah, so Cesar gets the number 3, but again, you can argue that Leo can get the number 3 spot, but me and Billy, we cemented that. And from a points point of view, if you want to know the points, I don't know the numbers exactly, but I know that Leo did get more points from Cesar. Okay, but from the big picture point of view, I mean, Cesar did day 2 twice. One at Florida and one at San Antonio. And, I mean, that's 2 out of 3. That's 9 rounds. So that's a lot of grinding games, And now you can argue, Brownsville, Daniel Casas. I know some of the Cascade guys well, what about Daniel? I mean, hey, yeah, there's room for that too, It's just unfortunate that Daniel kind of just went to that. And by all means, I'm sure he's a great player, or he's an up and coming player. You know, once he shows up more to the tournaments, then yeah, like, but you know, so, but can we argue that Daniel Casas from Brownsville could be in the list? Yeah, probably, you know, because he just showed up and then made day 2 with Maridon, and not everyone else did. I believe from the RGV, it was only Daniel and Leo. So there's some arguments there to be made as well. So yeah, so Cesar makes the number 3 spot. And of course, you already know, with that being said, the number 2 spot has to go to Leo. And Leo, like I said, if it wasn't for the NIC placement, then this discussion would be over. But because he did that, me and Billy had to look at the points, look at the placements, look at the local scene and whatnot. And honestly, like, both of these are really good players that when you play against them, like, you better know what you're doing. And if you know, they're the definition of like the wins they're earned if you get a win from them, you know. And I mean like gameplay. If they brick, well, okay, RNG, that happens. But when you actually play and you take a game from them and they know what they're doing, like, yeah, then you earned it pretty much from both of these. So simply put, in my opinion, these two players they don't have like a one up on each other. It's just simply put, Leo slightly edged Cesar because of NIC and locally speaking, you know. But again, Cesar's won some cups towards the end of the season. So that's what I mean by hills and valleys. Like at the beginning of the season, like Leo popped off and he stayed consistent, you know. I mean, hence Mr. Lugia and all that. And then once he didn't need to go to cups, I mean, not that Cesar didn't need his help, but Cesar then started popping off. So, and that's great because that's what we want to see. You know, we want to see some wonderful, great players from the pocket. And these are two players that I would definitely say that they contend for the number 1 spot next year because they'll be winning cups for sure. And I'm curious if I know Cesar's going to be moving to Houston eventually, but that doesn't mean like he's going to like disappear the earth, right? Like we make it seem like he's going to get abducted by aliens, you know, insert the Joel joke here. But yeah, so again, these two gentlemen, I respect them a lot, but we had to give the number 2 to Leo simply because he just slightly edged Cesar. And again, Cesar might be seeing this and like, well, I'm the number 2 in heart. And you know what? Hey, more power to you, man. But so again, number 3 has to go to Cesar. And we decided that number 2 would go to Leo. And of course, with that being said, number 1 will go to Billy himself. And at the beginning of the conversation, Billy and I mean, Billy didn't want to put himself at 1, but from a point of view, a regional point of view, Billy has made day 2. Billy has won some cups. He won Corpus and Kabooms. And overall, like, Billy has gotten points as well. And it's, you know, and in the end, Billy probably has the most points in the RGV. So now, between the 3 of them, I think Leo, as far as consistency, I think Leo is the more consistent player. Because I told Billy this at the beginning of the Cup season, like, Billy was not getting any points. You know, he was playing, and again, not because he wasn't trying, he was just playing those jank decks. Him and Rick and Rail and East needed to make a cult of Jank City or something, or Janks for Life. Because Billy, and again, Billy is still playing that Applejack deck. When I saw the Applejack deck, it's a cool deck, do the wave, right? But I'm just like, okay, yeah, like, what are you doing, dude? But, and again, he's always been like that. I mean, I've known him that long. I mean, even through Melee, I mean, he was not doing Falco Dittos. He was just playing Pikachu. So I'm not surprised by this. But at the beginning of the season, Billy was playing jank decks. And then when he realized, oh yeah, I don't have any points, haha. And then like, he just started winning, you know, like, and with the challenges and whatnot. So, you know, but with that being said, you know, Billy, I told Billy that, well, no, you get the 1 spot because again, you may have grinded it out more, but you know, you do have the more points than them. I mean, you have the accolades eventually. So, but as far as consistency, I probably put Leo first, consistency wise, then Cesar, then Billy. And I think Billy will agree to that because Cesar and Leo, I think they're more consistent players. You know, if Pokemon was just a one and done or 1 quarter, yeah, I would put Leo first, then Cesar, and then Billy. But because Pokemon is like this one big thing, then yeah, you know, hands down. So, but yeah. So anyways, just to recap, I know I'm just kind of rambling 30 minutes, you know, and that was my cap. So again, we'll start with the number 10, Victor. Number 9, Joel. Number 8, Emilio. Number 7, Rick Majoros. Number 6, Brian Benavides. Number 5, Kevin Garcia. Number 4, Dylan. Number 3, Cesar. Number 2, Leo. And number 1, Billy. So, with that being said, I want to thank you everyone for listening for my podcast. I will do another podcast on just my life and updates and whatnot, and kind of just talk about into the new season. And I know if you're just listening for the first time, I thank you for watching my podcast. Make sure you subscribe and like down below. And yeah, looking forward to the RGV growing and getting better. I know Pokéfest is coming up. I know the new season for 24-25 starts in July, so make sure you check up those card shops. I know Cascade, Moonblast, Stronghold Games, Kabooms, and they're already kind of setting their dates for the League Challenge, the League Cups. So make sure you reach out to your TOs, Marco, Horacio, Robert, myself, Uriel from Moonblast, and whatnot. So hit them up. But thanks for tuning in, and tell me what y'all think of the comments below or the top 10. We'll see y'all later. Peace.